If you would love to learn how to do a handspring or an Ayesha, but you're not quite there yet, or perhaps you want to learn how to develop the strength for this skill, here are 3 tricks that you can do on the pole that target similar muscle groups to an Ayesha. Starting with number 1, a headstand or handstand. So there's many ways to go about this. If you are new to headstands, I would suggest doing them leaning against the pole. You can start off with both hands on the ground, and you're gonna take your head closer to the pole, and your hands are further away from the pole. So imagine a triangle on the ground, and then from here, you're gonna lift your butt up, walk your feet in, and push up onto your toes until your back finds the pole. And from here, you can take one knee on top of your elbow shelf and the second knee on top of your elbow shelf. Nice and slow. If you're okay there, you can start pressing up into a full headstand. Now, once you're here, to go into more of an Ayesha shape, I'm gonna open up my legs, keeping them straight, toes pointed. I'm gonna keep my tailbone stuck to the pole as I slowly lower down my legs to about hip level. And I hold it here. You really want to focus on squeezing your legs tight and keeping everything engaged. And then I can continue going down slowly to exit. If you're quite comfortable with headstands, instead of back to the pole, I'm just going to turn around and I'm going to come down. Start off either with my legs apart, or I can go onto my knees. See what works best for you. I'm going to go back into a tripod headstand, so my hands are down. I take my imaginary triangle. My head goes at the tip of the triangle. From here, I lift my butt up. I walk my feet out. If you are working on your press-ups, you can try lifting your feet up and just holding it there. If that's scary, you can always lean against the pole. Try not to push, okay? You don't want to push and roll out. And then from here, you extend one leg and slowly extend the other. To exit, just lower your feet down. Let's try that again. So I'm going to come down, head down. From here, I can open my feet wide and try doing a press up by lifting my tailbone up, pushing my hands into the ground and widening the space between my feet and just holding it in this position. If that's too tricky, I can take one leg to the pole, second leg to the pole, making sure I don't push myself. I just want my feet gently resting on the pole. The worst thing that could happen here is you just roll out, okay? So just make sure you have enough space to do this. Press into the ground with the hands as you extend one leg, slowly extend the other leg, and then slowly extend the other leg, keeping them straight, toes pointed, quads are engaged. To exit, I just lower my feet down slowly. What's great about this exercise is it challenges you to find that balance and keep the legs level with each other, which is a common issue with handsprings. It's a balancing act, and most of the time when people are starting their handspring or their Ayesha, they have trouble keeping their legs at the same level. So one leg will be lower than the other, which will affect the balance and make it very difficult to hold. So by doing this exercise, you're essentially doing the same thing with your legs as you would in an Ayesha position. Moving on to handstands. Now, you don't need to know how to do a handstand to do these exercises because we will have our legs, or at least one leg, on the pole at all times. So the first handstand that I would suggest practicing is a caterpillar handstand. So you can start off with your hands on the ground. Now for handstands, just make sure your hands are narrow, fingers are wide apart, okay? They're not passive like this. So open up the fingers, and you also want your fingers slightly bent, so you're gonna press your fingertips into the ground. So narrow hands, and then from here, I'm gonna take one leg up to the front of the pole. I can flex my foot and then bring the second leg. So I'm squeezing the pole in between my knees. Now, if I feel like I'm too far like this, I just walk my hands closer and I'm actively pushing the ground and holding this position. I want my knees in line with my hips. So I don't want the legs kind of like this, just slide them down. There we go. And actively squeeze the pole in between the knees, actively pushing through the shoulders. I recommend taking a video of yourself doing these because you might not be able to tell if your knees are at the same level as your hips. So take a video of yourself and check it afterwards and then correct yourself when you do it again. If that's all fine, you can also try an L-shaped handstand. So I'm going to walk my hands a little bit further away than the caterpillar handstand, kind of like a narrow downward dog. From here, hands are close together. I'm going to take one foot to the pole above my knee. So my tiptoes are on the pole. From here, I'm going to think about lifting my tailbone up above my head, and I continue to look at the pole. So for this shape, you don't want to look forwards like a plank position. You want to continue looking at your pole. So I lift my butt up and I try to get this foot flat on the pole, and I come back down and I practice doing this. In the beginning, this can feel kind of scary because your hips are going up higher above your head, more weight is going to come into the arms. So just remember to actively push. If you are fine here, bring your second foot on top, separate the feet, making sure the feet are flat and the elbows don't start to bend. If they start to bend, you're in trouble. Come back down. Keep the arms straight and actively pushing. And you want your hips kind of above your head. Again, this one can be kind of difficult to tell if your hips are above your head or not, but it always helps to record yourself and then check it and then readjust the second or the third time that you practice this. And you can hold this position for about 10 to 20 seconds. It's going to develop your shoulder strength, which you need for an Ayesha. Essentially, an Ayesha is like similar to a handstand on the pole. The bottom arm is going to be actively pushing, and in a handstand, you're actively pushing the ground. The second trick I would recommend if you want to build up the strength for your handspring or your Ayesha is a butterfly. In butterfly, the top arm is pulling and the bottom arm is pushing, exactly like in an Ayesha. So when you're going to do your butterfly, you want to make sure that you are actively pulling with that top arm and actively pushing with the bottom arm. You're not just hanging onto the pole. So when you go into the butterfly, before you bring your bottom hand down, think about pulling the pole through that top shoulder. Then the bottom hand can come down, and you also want to make sure that bottom hand is going to actively push. Get your head right in front of the pole, so nose to the pole. Pull and push through the arms. So I'm not just hanging on. I want to really focus on pushing my weight up through that bottom shoulder. The grip is really important here. You want to be sure that your index finger is pointing down to keep your wrist straight and not twisted around the pole. If you're already very comfortable with your butterfly on both sides, you can then start working on your extended butterfly. So from a butterfly position, you're going to open up the hip of the hooked leg, creating space between your knee and the pole. And then from there, you're going to slowly start distancing your hips away from the pole to extend that leg. Make sure you're pointing your toes because it creates more of a hooked shape behind your ankle. If you are using true grip, as you go into extended, you're going to want to bend that top arm. So the main difference between a true grip and twisted grip, Ayesha or butterfly, is that in true grip, your top arm will be slightly bent, and in twisted grip, it's going to be straight. So true grip Ayesha, look at my top arm, looks like this. The top arm is bent. Twisted grip Ayesha, the top arm remains straight. This is why a lot of the time people find twisted grip easier, because true grip requires a little bit more strength to pull the pole. So I'm going to do my extended butterfly using true grip. So going into a butterfly, actively pulling and pushing, and make sure your head is right in front of the pole. It's not to the side like this. Keep your head close. From here, I'm going to extend my back leg first, then I open up my hip. Once my hip is open, I'm going to start by bending that top arm slightly. See my top arm? And then I can extend both legs. Continue to look at the pole. If I feel like I'm falling out, I just circle around, hip into the pole, and I can come out that way. So that's kind of like my emergency exit, is I just swing myself back towards the pole. So you don't need to freak out. And if you've got your extended butterfly, you can also practice your D shape. So this would be the progression: butterfly, extended butterfly, and then finally D shape. And then once you're super comfortable with your D shape, you can go into your Ayesha. Butterfly, extended butterfly, D shape. I take my I keep everything where it is. I only move my leg to the other side of the pole, keeping my hips far away. Look at my top arm. It is bent because I'm in true grip. Eventually, with practice, you'll be able to go into Ayesha from there. Just a quick reminder, these progressions take a lot of time in between, so please don't try to skip ahead straight away to the Ayesha if you're still shaky with your butterfly or your extended butterfly. Take your time with each trick. And the last trick you can do if you're working on your handspring or Ayesha is a fallen star or breadbasket. I'm gonna go Gemini, or outside leg hang. I'm going to take my outside hand off. So it's the opposite of butterfly. Your inside arm remains up and your outside hand comes down. From here, the outside hand is gonna grab underneath your head. It can be thumb pointing up, and you're gonna slide that hand down. Now, same mechanics applied. Top arm is pulling, bottom arm is pushing. So even though I'm in this awkward grip, my bottom arm is still gonna actively push. It's kind of like you're trying to dig the pole down into the ground. So from here, inside arm is straight and pulling, bottom arm is under my head, pushing. I'm gonna bring my inside leg towards the pole. I want to feel the pole on my inner thigh here, and I'm actively pushing that foot down. Imagine you're wearing ankle weights. From here, you're going to have more weight in the arms as you release the hook leg, so get ready to pull and push. The arms are active. I slowly slide that leg to the ankle. See how that extra weight feels, and if you're okay to, you can extend that leg as well. Trying to get the legs as level with each other as possible. To exit, I can hook my outside leg, or you can also hook your inside leg if that's easier. Release the bottom hand, grab the pole, and exit. And don't forget to do your other side. Outside hand under, inside leg forward, pull and push, and extend. To exit, hook a leg, and come on out. And those are 3 tricks that will help you build up the strength for your handspring and your Ayesha. Happy training, and I'll see you in the next class.